Hello, you wonderful people. This week, me and Eric talk about the amazing weekend that consisted of UFC 249 and 2 more episodes of ESPN's The Last Dance. Please note that these episodes of The Crunchy Take will always appear on Spotify and YouTube shortly after we air, so be sure to check us out on those platforms by typing in The Crunchy Take. If you'd like to participate in the show, or would like to suggest topics for me or my guests to cover, the best way to do so would be to send us a voice message at anchor.fm/James-Kittapole/message. That's anchor.fm/James-Kittapole, that's KITTIPOL/message. Thank you so much for stopping by and enjoy the show. And welcome everyone. Welcome to another Crunchy Take. This is Crunchy Take 3. I'm joined today by our usual guest, DJ Primetime, Eric Luengraf. How's it going, bro?
What's going on, dude? Not much.
Man, I'm guessing we start with UFC, since that's just the biggest dog, man. You got to talk about real sports instead of we'll go to 1998 in about 30 to 20 minutes time. But before we start, is there anything you'd like to plug or like to do?
Plug nothing yet. You know, we're in the early phases of our streaming fame. So maybe years down the line we'll have a few more things to talk about. But as for now, not a dang thing. So all the sponsors you listening out there, if you're watching, hit us up. And
we're also gonna have some guests on next week. I have a special guest that we're gonna bring out, but that's for a later time.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, geez, man. Oh, God. Way to leave him hanging. Way to leave him hanging.
Way to leave him hanging, just like 1998, just like The Last Dance.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know who it is? Why don't you just tune in? Tune in. You'll find out.
It's a pretty good one. I'm not going to lie. He's an old friend. But okay, yeah, I'll leave it at that for now. Without further ado, UFC 249.
Oh.
An event that up until the last hour before it was gonna broadcast, I still thought the government, or I still thought the state of Florida was gonna shut it down.
Something was gonna happen.
Something was gonna happen. You know, I texted you the night before.
Yes. It
was literally after I put up the episode. You know, we did our thing. I put it up. Yeah. This was about 2 hours after we had our session.
And
then
our boy Jacare, had to pull out.
Yeah, you had to pull out.
That's unfortunate.
You had to pull out pretty big time.
Yeah, I mean, whether you have a little bit of corona or a lot of corona, you got it. So they had to pull the fight, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Luckily though, I mean, this dude is you could put him into the category of, you know, somewhat of a legend of the sport, but I kind of forgot. I forgot that he was on the fight card until you texted me.
Yeah,
I remember I had a long rant last time about Uriah Hall and how much I'm not really a fan of his. He's a freaking amazing fighter, though. But
which is a shame because I don't know. I feel like it's another fight that could have added to the pantheon of fights that we saw.
It could have, man. But geez, you want to talk about. Oh my! You want to talk about a crazy event? That thing was wild. You know, pretty much all of it. The Jacare Hall fight would have been kind of like that. It would have added to it. It wouldn't have made it much better. It's kind of like if you have that dry rub for your spare ribs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people add, mustard seed.
Yeah.
It's not necessary, but it'll make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
That's my what are they called when you kind of compare things but they're not really anyways, I'm sorry, let's move on. What do you got?
No, I mean, talk about things working out at just the right time. I mean, when I say things, I say there are restrictions and everything that they had to put in place. It just became it just got to a point where it worked out. You know, their protocols, I mean, according to them, because everything was about isolating until it was confirmed, right? At least like 7 days, at least.
7 days. Okay.
Like you have to. I don't know how long their tests. Because you saw like Embedded or whatnot, they showed a bunch of behind the scenes, or not Embedded, MMA Junkie. You saw them show a bunch of behind the scenes, and like you see each athlete getting tested. Everyone from Michelle to like,
oh yeah,
like
to the corner people, the announcers, Bruce Buffer, everyone.
Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I saw almost all of it, or I just at least saw whatever I could see quickly. It's are you talking about the whole process where they're sticking that whatever, all the way into your nose to the back of your head or whatnot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I saw a little bit of that. I can only watch so much, but I mean, I got the point that they did test everyone. you can only watch so much of people sticking long strands into someone's nose,
just like prepping or whatnot, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they did everything right. The announcers, they couldn't even, John Anik, DC, Rogan couldn't even sit next to each other. They had to sit on different ends of the octagon.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. That was one of the things my friends were talking about was, because, okay, social distancing and all, we've been safe. We went over, watch it at a friend's house.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the weird things that Joe Rogan said was that it was weird that they had to sit in weird corners, but there were segments that he would they all stood together.
Yes.
And he just pointed out that was weird, and I thought that was one of the funniest things I heard. Things I heard the other day.
It is weird because if you think about it, up to the moment of them even going in the building, everyone is either technically, a negative. They don't have it, but there's also things that you got to do because you're still presenting yourself to the public. This is broadcasted worldwide. You still got to, having them in different parts or having people spread out just it looks better for the UFC that they're doing these extra things. It'll look a little more careless if there's a scenario where you could put people further apart, but you don't do it,
Right. Yeah. It was just weird. One of the things I jotted down was, dude, is this Brittany Palmer's like easiest payday ever?
Brittany Palmer. Ring girl.
Yeah. Is this her easiest payday ever? Because you got to imagine, when there's a real event, there's tons of people eyeing her, probably harassing her a little bit. Can you imagine? Cat calls all over the place. At this fight, it's just her. It was just her. She was the only one. It's just walking with that sign, big old fat smile, sit in the chair, best seat in the house. No one bothers her.
Hey, you know what? No, I think from a mental standpoint, being driven crazy by listening to people catcalling you, there's a little bit of balance to it because usually it's her, Ariane, and somebody else, and they take turns per round. In this situation, Brittany Palmer had to do the circle for every round. So you could say work-wise, this is the most work she's ever done.
She's earned her due, though. How long has Brittany Palmer's been, like, for every major fight I've seen?
I think...
who's the other one?
Ariane Celeste.
Kind of same look. Okay, kind of same looking, right? But like,
I wouldn't say same looking.
Thinner face profile.
I don't know. She is fine. Yeah.
See, but,
I mean, you could say Brittany Palmer too.
She's a married woman, though. People know she's married.
Brittany Palmer, people know she's married. Yeah, she probably lost a few Instagram followers for that. But Brittany Palmer's married. Ariane Celeste, I don't know what she is, but I'll tell you what she is, though, and she is fine. Give her that.
And with that said, it's no wonder that just the fact, it's probably a little scary for people that are just passive observers or the press, people who aren't, you have to imagine that people that weren't too active in the event, but still had to be there. It's probably nerve-wracking for them. I there were times I think throughout the broadcast that I was looking at Joe. He looked a little nervous. He either looked nervous or confused. You know, just that because it's not his usual setting. You know, because he mentioned earlier that, you know, when he does these calls, he likes to grab Daniel Cormier, or he sometimes likes to.
There's a lot of things that go on. If it's the three of them sitting there, you don't think they have moments where they're kind of confused about something? They can cover their mic and like, hey, DC, you know, what was that again? When this or whatnot. These guys are literally by themselves and they can't call for hints about things. They can't whisper hints to each other because that's going to go on the broadcast.
Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, this is their first time doing it without each other. It's weird to be by yourself, you know? They weren't by themselves, but, you know, they can hear their colleagues, but to be sitting there by yourself, it might be a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, once the event started, it was, you know, honestly, aside, we'll get to the crowd in a little bit, but aside from the lack of crowd, it still felt like a UFC event.
For us watching it, yeah.
You know, for us watching it, it's the broadcast and everything. Because I expected, dude, when they listed out their restrictions, like, okay, so, you know, person limit, and, you know, whatever protocol that they had, I imagined it being like ICU type situation, them completely isolated just in a small room. I didn't think it was going to be in an arena, you know.
Oh no. Oh yeah, they're taking up the space of the arena. Oh yeah.
And that was one of the saddest things. It's, you know, fighters would walk out, the lights would dim, and it's it's just quiet. They still have their music. But look, if you really think about it, the only people that it'll affect are the fighters that get that adrenaline rush. Like there's a whole balance to the crowd. If you're a fighter and that could make you nervous as heck, you know, as all heck, especially maybe if you're new to the sport, or it could just make you nervous knowing that you're fighting in front of all these people. Yeah. Also, you might need that crowd, you know, because there's probably some adrenaline that you get hearing a crowd scream, and you probably don't get tired because of it, you know. And for us as the viewers, you mentioned earlier, there's not much of a difference. You couldn't really tell because we can't tell. Even if the crowd is screaming really loud, if anything, that might make it less appealing for us because we can't hear the corners talk as well. Maybe we can't hear Bruce Buffer, you know? Yeah. Oh, speaking of Bruce, so Brittany had maybe the easiest. I think Bruce had the saddest. Just like he powered through though. What a champ.
Hey,
every single
he's a veteran.
He's a veteran, man. But you just felt a certain way when Bruce does his spiel, you know, especially for a numbered fight night. The crowd.
You mean like a pay-per-view?
A
pay-per-view. Yeah.
It's just like it seems so out of place. It seems so sad, and the suit he had on, it was just like this Craig Sager freaking. It was perfection, man. Yeah,
you needed sunglasses to look at him for sure. That dude, yeah, but that dude's a veteran. It doesn't. Can you imagine? Even nowadays, if there's a UFC event, even if it's a pay-per-view, the first two fights, nobody is in the arena. Nobody's screaming. You might hear a few claps here and there. So he's used to every level of audience energy.
Dude, the Buffer family just say, hey, we want to make money doing these like epic call outs and just like monopolize the freaking market. You know who his brother is, right?
Could be. Yeah, of course. It's his half brother, Michael Buffer. Michael Buffer, he's a little more, I think he's more financially genius about it because he's the one that he actually trademarked the saying, let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah. So
if you want him to say it, you got to pay a lot of money. So every time he's saying it, I don't know what the amount of money is.
So he trademarked it, but wait, did Bruce not trademark It's Time?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you probably need to look into it more maybe, but Bruce Buffer, I don't think he has any trademark, but I mean, he's got a pretty good gig. He's got a good gig. He gets paid really well. So
does he do every single event or?
He used to. Once the UFC expanded more and more, you know, going to Europe, Japan, like, geez, they have so many events a year now. They have other other announcers too. I don't really know. I don't quite remember their names, but they people that have worked for I think Strike Force and yeah. There's other people though.
Was he ever in Strike Force?
Bruce Buffer, no, not that I know of. I think he's pretty much he powered through the UFC. He didn't get into the UFC in the very beginning though. I don't know which UFC he came in, but I think once he got there, he was it.
Yeah, and he just wins though. It's just like well, going right into the event, everything is audible. Everything, from gloves, glove squeaks, because UFC, MMA, it's one of those sports where you don't realize how much sound can occur because of like a lack of crowd there. The crowd is sort of there as like it's almost there. They're there as like soundtrack,
Yeah.
With basketball, it's sort of you expect it because there are so many moving components. But the UFC, I think this is a first. Besides tough, where we actually hear like each corner.
Yeah.
They can hear the call outs. And at one point, I think Cormier was saying, "Hey, I think they can hear my call out."
Yeah, that's why they gotta. I've heard interviews. I've heard UFC fighters complaining about somebody saying something in the commentary, but they were wrong, and that really and it would like piss them off, which is hilarious. Yeah, they got to be careful.
Speaking of broadcasts, something that caught my eye. I think I texted you at that moment in time. You know how they were showing Twitter feeds at the bottom right, at the bottom left?
Oh yeah.
Tom Brady. A slew of sports personalities, and I see Stephen A. Smith.
Oh boy, Stephen A.
Stephen, you know what? And to him I give credit. He's trying.
Yeah.
And that's all I need him to do. Keep trying. Like he covers so much. I don't know why MMA fans are so mad at his willingness to try something new, because it's not easy to get into a different sport. It's like me and you. It's like it would be me covering baseball, which I am willing to try and get better at. I've covered. I tried to cover it in college. I was a beat writer. Dude, I had to. After my interview with them, I texted the athlete, "Hey man, is this a sports? Is the term that I'm using to describe you right? Innings, punches and whatnot." Stephen A's still learning. Before Stephen A in that tweet, he misspelled Gaethje's name, which, to be fair, is not a really common name. You saw it, right?
Yeah.
He spelled it Garth. Oh.
He wrote Garth.
I can only imagine that would have triggered a bunch of just gatekeeping MMA fans.
Dude. You can also imagine how not as up to date ESPN staff is about it either, because they didn't even think to edit it or tell him to edit it first. They just let it go. They're like, okay, well, yeah.
Do you think they own his account? I would think he's.
No, I'm not saying they own his account, but I'm sure there's some kind of an editing process. There's some filtering that you have to get through until it makes it on live or on, so that everyone can see. So whoever is in charge of that or behind that, even though the UFC's been around for a long time, but it's still probably like one of the youngest sports. This really started as far as in the US, at least it was started in 92 or 93, It's still young. Yeah. Stephen A he's doing a great job, as a big name. I say we, as the sport of mixed martial arts, we need someone with a name like his, with a drive like Stephen A to take it on. And you got to give him credit for doing that. There's that underground kind of hipster vibe that you have of MMA fans saying like, "Whoa, I mean, this is our sport. We've been here this whole time. Why can you have, So it's annoying to have someone like, to them, it could be annoying having Stephen A come in, but I don't care. I love Stephen A. He remember when he went off about Cowboy?
Yeah.
And then everybody went off on him. And then later on, Cowboy was in an interview. He was like, "Yeah, I just wasn't there that night." Then Stephen A goes on and demands he wants an apology from the fans.
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen A. It's just a different crowd. It's a different crowd.
Yeah.
It's a different.
My favorite. It's a different crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite? What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the out of all the I don't remember most of the tweets that they put out, but my favorite one, I forgot. I think it might have been a fighter that said this, but it was a dude. I think he said Tony Ferguson's chin needs to be put in the UFC Hall of Fame.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Do we want to? Okay, no. Before we get to that, I have stuff to say to that, but let's go to some of the earlier pay-per-views.
Sure.
Let's just start off with Pettis and Cowboy.
Okay.
Overall, much better performances, at least for me. Much better compared to their previous fights. I mean, they fought all 3 rounds, right?
Well, their previous, better in their previous.
Better.
But you could say, who did Pettis last fought? Was it Diaz? Nate Diaz?
I think so. Yeah,
Nate Diaz, decision loss. Cowboy. Dude, Cowboy's on a slump, actually. He lost to.
Yeah.
He lost to McGregor. He lost to Gaethje.
I don't know. I think Cowboy won. I don't know.
Cowboy won what?
This fight?
No, Cowboy's last fight was...
No. Meaning...
you mean points wise?
Yeah, points wise. I don't see how you can say that.
Because also, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of watching the fight here, and I'm cooking and barbecuing in the back and whatnot. I just got done, so... But I remember the fight. I remember the fight being... I remember the fight being close, but it wasn't a surprise that Anthony Pettis won. Maybe a unanimous decision, no, but...
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It turned out to be a much more bland fight than it actually was. There weren't a whole lot of, I mean, in comparison to everything else, but even when it was going on, I mean, still, it's an undercard. It's a prelim. And for it to be a prelim, it's actually pretty good. But these people,
it's a huge deal, yeah.
For these two people, we're accustomed to seeing them, center stage. Just really good, top-notch performances. And I just feel like although they were better than what I've seen from them in the past, I don't know, 2 or 3 fights, it just came out a little bland.
Yeah.
None of them really threw money shots. Perhaps. I mean, Cowboy had that eye poke, and was it Pettis or Cowboy that had that eye poke? But
oh, geez.
One of them did, but it just, I expected a little more fireworks. Both of their careers are kind of in the balance at the moment. Cowboy more so than Pettis.
Yeah.
What is Pettis' biggest game?
What do you mean? His biggest strength?
Yes.
His creativity and striking. Mixing a lot of really good kickboxing, a lot of leg strikes. He's just very curative, exciting stand up. Very high level jiu-jitsu. He's not someone that you could, if you're a decent wrestler, you're going to take him down. But if you're taking him down, you're going to be in some trouble, because Anthony Pettis also has point, groundwork. Do they even go to the ground at any point? No, right? It was just kind of like a point. Yeah, it was kind of like almost like a kickboxing fight, just point fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of weird, but you did, in your opinion, who won the fight? Did you?
I thought. I honestly, I didn't know. See, this is where it gets weird for me with the technical aspect of the UFC. I have an idea. I usually give more to octagon control, they call it.
Yes.
More control of the octagon. Strikes on all that helps too. But from when the decision was given out, I thought Anthony Pettis won. When after the fight was over, I didn't know. So that goes, I couldn't put my
You just explained it better than I did, but it's just octagon control, dominance, and you take strikes into account. It's like solving a mystery,
all that
right?
definitely matters. But sometimes, because when you don't know. I don't really understand really the aspects of it. I understand movement and what's effective, but usually when someone is, octagon control, they call it. And I feel like perhaps maybe Anthony Pettis showed a little more of that.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's a good fight. I mean, it's 2 big names.
I
just want to know, I'm just wondering, what's going to happen. These.
Yeah.
They're still going to be fan favorites, but their performances are just not.
Yeah, they're dwindling a little bit. I mean, Pettis at least got the W, so he may get a shot against someone else. Maybe try.
I mean, he'll move up in rank and fight,
Yeah.
fight somebody else.
Oh, man,
I mean, dude, he beat Stephen Thompson. Stephen Thompson, he fought for the belt twice at welterweight. You know.
Yeah.
Stephen Thompson, that karate dude. But I mean, and he's got that. He's got that. He's got this win against Cerrone. He's gonna get like a top 10. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're Anthony Pettis or Donald Cerrone, you're getting ranked opponents. You know, like you can't get away from that being a fan favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would just.
What do you got next? Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, for them, the only fighter to ever be on a Wheaties box. You would figure you'd figure would come out a little harder, but maybe I'm being too harsh. All right, the next. I'm skipping over a bunch. Michelle Watterson and Carla Esparza. It's okay. It was another one of those Michelle Watterson fights. I didn't see anything. Anything. Maybe it was the circumstance. They'd been scheduled to fight earlier, and weight cuts, a bunch of weight cuts that they had to do again.
Well, they didn't really go through the weight cut process, but to go through training camp after training camp and extending and not knowing what's going to happen, that could take a toll on you. But I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
If you just want to graze over that or graze over the Verdum one. Look, unfortunately, I don't know who Alexei Oleinik is. I only recognize him by name.
He was controlling the fight for the most part.
Yeah, I think he fought for. He fought for Bellator, I think, or maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he fought for Bellator a while ago. Name I recognize. For Verdum, I was more excited just to see him back.
Yeah.
But former champion.
That Oleinik dude though, he's been fighting since the 90s. He's 2 years older than. He's 2 years older than Romero at this point, right? He's 42. He looks like that Russian dad that can just screw everybody up at a cookout. Everyone, anytime. Don't challenge him after a few shots of that Stolichnaya vodka. The one good thing about the heavyweight division is you could still be very competitive the older you get as a heavyweight. It's really strange. It's the only weight division where older fighters can still excel. Yeah. Well, speaking of the heavyweight, we now move to Ngannou and rest in peace, Rosenstruik.
Oh man, Rosenstruik.
You literally we texted each other and saying, this fight it doesn't end in the first round. It's going to be a boring fight.
That is, I don't know if that could be for any Francis Ngannou fight. We don't know. We've seen him tested once for his, twice. He fought for the title, but he just got worked. He had some success early, but he got worked as far as like the combination of wrestling and being dragged into the deep water by Stipe. But we saw he had another opportunity. His next fight, Derek Lewis, which also went to decision. They both looked terrible. So you kind of question where his cardio is. But I mean, I don't mind this at all. We don't need to see him test his cardio. Let's just see him test out those that thunder and lightning that he calls fists.
Mm-hmm.
Did you saw the whole fight, right? You saw it.
The whole fight, Eric. The whole fight. It lasted 27 seconds.
It's so funny. It's such a corny cliche when people are like, well, don't go buy popcorn at this time, or don't leave your seat. Don't even blink. I might have thrown back a few, whiskeys and whatnot. I'm excited finally UFC. And then, after a few whiskeys, you gotta use the restroom. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, nope, I'm going to wait. This is early when, and then I was like, I'll just wait. And I remember right when the fight, like Bruce Buffer was announcing, and then my friend Jason, he was like, well, I'm going to go take a piss. I'm like, I wouldn't do that, man. Let's just wait. And then
when the round starts, that's like a no-no, especially with the UFC. It's just like,
especially with Ngannou.
Yeah.
But my friend left, and then I'm kind of screaming. And then I just hear him like, what happened? Like, dude, you missed it, dude.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, that might have been. Yeah, the crazy thing about it in the replay, he missed 3 times. He had a right, he had an overhead right that he missed. He missed with the left, he missed with the right again, and then he caught him on the left hook. And that random left hook, that random one, that one that wasn't even maybe intentional.
Dude, speaking of random, This is what I compare his striking to, because look, I'm not an expert in fighting, okay, but I know that his striking technique in that fight was not good. I'm talking about Ngannou, right? I can't explain. I'm gonna try my best to explain this.
Sure.
Okay, it's an Asian. I don't know if it's Chinese. It's definitely something Asian, but what it is, it's on a stick, right? It's on a stick. There's a drum.
Oh, okay.
There's a drum, and then you twist it, and the balls go back and forth and hit the drums. Tuk, 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 you know?
Yeah.
I can't explain. That's what his striking looked like.
Oh yeah, I know. It's kind of like there was a scene in Karate Kid. I think I know what you're talking about.
It was in Karate Kid 2.
Yeah.
In Karate Kid 2, he's on his last leg. He's laying down there.
Yeah.
Freaking somebody in the crowd, or was it Miyagi? That was Ngannou.
That's a great scene. Oh, what a callback, Eric. That's a great way to describe what we saw.
It's just unfortunate I don't know what it's called. Oh man, would have been better. But that was literally his technique. This dude punches so hard that let's say someone like you and I who don't have much fighting experience. Let's say we're holding like a bag, like they use for training, like to train leg kicks or something. Let's say you're just holding that bag and he's just practicing those wailing punches and you're blocking it. You don't think that would hurt you?
Yeah,
you don't think
be
it would
some
hurt?
Insurance from my arm, man. I'm just saying.
You don't think it would hurt if Francis Ngannou is in a striking match, just like this brawl, and the guy that he's fighting with is still doing a good job blocking the punches? You don't think that guy is still probably going to get knocked out from blocking a punch?
Yeah.
It's scary, man.
It's him, Deontay, and at this point, Tyson. It'd be pretty interesting to see them all in the ring together. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about most dangerous man ever. It's just funny. You sent, and then a little after the fight, you sent me freaking Daniel Cormier's facial reactions when he finds out he might have to fight Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. If this Stipe thing doesn't work out, if he's busy, because Stipe, he's a firefighter. Can you imagine that, being the UFC fighter, if you're the heavyweight champion of any if you're the heavyweight champion, you are considered the baddest man on the planet. That's just how it is always going to be, because you're the heaviest, and then you're the champion. Yeah. This dude is the baddest man on the planet and a full-time firefighter. Oh, what a beast! That's crazy.
Justin Gaethje has a human resources degree, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
he said he said if he wasn't a fighter, he would have gotten into social work.
More power.
He's a very kind, giving dude.
Yeah. So Francis, now it's just like he's got to get that title shot.
He's
100%.
This is just a messed up time, because Stipe is not even training for a fight. We're looking like if they were to schedule it now, it's going to be 3 months away. They need time.
That's a very quick turnaround for Francis.
No, I'm not talking about Francis fighting. I'm kind of getting into DC. The next title fight's got to be DC Stipe, and Francis. He can go, now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at a point. There's no one. Whoever they put him against a fight that isn't DC or Stipe is somebody that he has to fight anyways. Let's say if Ngannou was champion, like there's kind of no point really for him to fight. Who is he going to fight? Just to stay busy. Like this guy.
Yeah.
This guy needs a title fight, but they're just not expediting it fast enough. Stipe's not training to fight.
I think Anthony Johnson would come. No, Anthony Johnson fights at light heavyweight. There's no way he'd fight Francis.
Anthony, when he said if he comes back, it's going to be at heavyweight.
It's going to be at heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's a fight I'd like to see.
Oh, Anthony Johnson, Ngannou?
Yes.
Oh.
See, I wouldn't be able to. I don't know about you, man. I'd rather see that over John Jones and Anthony Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Wait, John Jones or what?
And Anthony Johnson. I'd rather see Francis. It's because it's power on power. I don't know. I'm still of the belief that John Jones, although he excelled and beat Daniel Cormier at heavyweight, it's just the toll that took on him.
Yeah.
Putting on that much weight. I don't know.
Wait, Anthony Johnson?
No, John Jones just putting on that much weight to fight at heavyweight. It just doesn't
John
work.
Jones would have to be look. Even though the weight limit for heavyweight is 265, the optimum size, the perfect size heavyweight,
It's 225.
as far as keeping speed, power, and all that, is about 230, 240. If you look at the history of the champions, they hover around that. Stipe, 230 something. Junior Dos Santos 240. Cain Velasquez 240.
Yeah.
DC 260. God damn it, DC. I'm sorry. I'm just making a joke because GC's just always kind of he's always been a heavier dude. But Anthony Johnson can, oh my God, he's like 230 right now. Oh
Yeah, he could fight.
that dude can easily fight at heavyweight, and him. Oh, I wouldn't be able to handle that. That's a fight I couldn't handle the build up to.
At this point, what do you think is more? What do you think's more likely to happen? Because we saw
what's going to happen with Ngannou with what?
Meaning, well, just hear me out. So, like, between GSP coming back and Anthony Johnson coming back, which one's way more likely to happen?
Oh, Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, because GSP, inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think he's done, man. He hasn't fought since 2017.
They don't really. I mean, the UFC doesn't really follow the same traditional sports with the Hall of Fame. If you're in the Hall of Fame, you got to be retired for at least 7 years. But the UFC has put people in the Hall of Fame while they're active.
Yeah.
But GSP is not going to come back out of. I mean, he doesn't have to. He's content with his career. He needs to. When you've been a champion for that long, you need a unique challenge to come back. And all the circumstances that he thought of, it just never worked out.
Yeah, it never manifested. Anyway, well, speaking of,
but I'm just going to finish up on this
sure.
Ngannou thing. What I think is going to happen with him, unless he's down to take on someone else, I don't know who is going to fight him. He's going to be on the shelf until DC and Stipe finally fight, which sucks for Ngannou.
Yeah. Oh, the heavyweight division just needs. I mean, it needs another. I hate to say it, but it needs either another Francis or it needs another. Just like needs more. There's really only 3 or 4 prominent heads right now. But
no, there's a lot. Oh God, you might be right. I was gonna go through the rankings, but I think you're right. And if so, like, there's stars in there, but it's these top 3 of DC, Stipe, Ngannou. They've all been demolished. Like it's those 3 right now, and then everyone else needs to, lick their wounds from the beating they got from Ngannou.
But here's the difference, though. I mean, because with boxing, there are at least 4, but it's a different type of energy. 4 heavyweights. I mean, Andy Ruiz. Okay, he's not on the other 3's level, but it's still a storyline.
Yeah,
it still happened. The storyline still happened. He beat Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua came back and beat him. It's. I'm just saying the energy surrounding those 3 people, for whatever reason, feels greater. Whereas with the UFC, what should be the baddest man on the planet, what are the baddest men on the planet, all skill set wise, it's just, there isn't. Daniel Cormier is a seller, but he's getting up there.
He's getting up there. He's literally getting up there because this is literally his last fight. His next fight is his last fight.
It's got to be, and I think I think it'll happen. We'll see something.
He was supposed to retire March. I think it was maybe March this year, or was it last year? He was supposed to retire by his 40th birthday. Oh man.
Yeah. We'll see. It remains to be seen. But speaking of retirement, we then move to the Henry Cejudo.
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah.
I got a long, interesting take that will transition into basketball, ironically. But yeah, let's get through it though.
I can't imagine.
I'm sorry.
I can't imagine that it would have to do with the topic of retirement. I just can't see that working.
No. Wait. What do you mean? What?
Well, I mean, it seems to be a common theme. That we've been talking about, just how much can you go? You get burnt out. with the UFC, that seems to be a little more flexible.
Meaning like people retire and always come back?
Yeah. Like there's a chance. There's a chance, you know, but with basketball, it's such a mechanical
also
difference.
It's actually it's a good chance, you know, for fighters.
Yeah.
Because think about, look, as of right now, I bet you maybe, you know, there's a good bet within the next 3 years, we're going to talk about Henry Cejudo coming back. And when I say we're going to talk about, I mean, we probably, because no one really cares. Henry Cejudo is like the most talented fighter that nobody cares about. But,
man,
but as of right now, when you listen to him talk, you believe him. And he really does want to retire. He's done, you know, to imagine being just this hyper uber competitor.
Eric, he's done.
No, he's done as in he's retiring. Like he's really. Well, we're talking about Cejudo, right?
Cejudo, yes.
Yeah, he's done as far as he's content right now with retiring. He's okay walking away. He's thought about this already. You know,
I mean, a lot of people. Him if he is, but it just seems so unlikely. It just no one buys it. I don't buy it. Do you buy it?
Oh yeah, I definitely buy it. Because think about it. He's been doing this since he's been competing, you know, at the highest level, not since he was 11 years old. This is all he's done his whole life. His as far as athletic accomplishments, he's checked off everything. You can say he's checked off everything, you know, maybe more title defenses. That would be nice. But when your mind isn't there, then you shouldn't be fighting anymore. He's in a time of his life where he wants to have a family, you know, get married.
Man, you sound dead serious. This is so like.
Oh, you thought this was like a marketing scheme from Cejudo?
Yeah.
You know what? It could be. Look, maybe like 10%, 5 to 10% of it is, because he's also, for someone as accomplished as him and as successful as him in his position, he's pretty underpaid. You know, he's not paid like, you know, to being a division champion. He keeps saying the Olympic part is not going to get him paid more money, but it's a nice selling point for him.
He's not. I think that's.
What?
No. I think that's the thing most people are thinking right now. It's because and I only say just because it's Henry Cejudo, just because he really, you know, y'all don't have to listen to my cringy ass anymore. It's just like, yeah, it's probably it doesn't seem genuine at the moment. But hey, if that really is the last Henry Cejudo fight, what a way to walk out. I just wish, in his case, as much as I'm not in his corner as far as investment, but dude, I just would think that your last fight should be in front of fans, you know. But he doesn't have that. No fighter has that obligation to the crowd. Like, just to throw your body out there, I think is a lot to ask.
It's not just that, dude. James, it's so hard to walk away when you're on top, and if you want the perfect fight, the perfect time, in the perfect situation to retire on top,
it's not going to happen. Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And to do it against Dominic Cruz, who you thought was going to be, I thought this fight was a little bit of foreshadowing to the main event, because we all thought that. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Remember how I mentioned out of all the picks, I told you that the easiest pick for me was Dominic Cruz. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Of course, and then he ends up losing. But did you see in the fight what I was kind of talking about, the way he moves, his footwork, and the way, you know, his elusiveness?
Yeah, I in between our conversation in the event, I did some more research on him, because I'd only heard his commentary and I hadn't really seen his fights. But yeah, the dude moves like nothing else.
He has a very tricky movement, and it's frustrating. You know, it's frustrating, especially if you get impatient. You try to rush in, he's going to counter you. Yeah, Dominic Cruz is not going to knock you out, but he'll pick at you for 25. He'll pick at you for 25 minutes, you know, and just frustrate you. And when you, they call him the Decisionator, because his nickname, I think, the Dominic Dominator Cruz. Mm-hmm. But all the haters call him the Decisionator.
That's a pretty
because he wins by decision.
That's a pretty good monicum to have as a fighter is just like fighters that are intelligent are, I think, a touch scarier than fighters that just have the raw strength and physical attributes, which are why the top fighters are the scariest because they have everything into account.
Yeah.
You know,
not only it's not just intelligence, it's composure, you know? Yeah. Composure, not being nervous, he's probably the only example of ring rust not being a factor in fighting because he's out for years and he comes back looking good, but that was questionable.
Dude, Cejudo just figured him, just those kicks and his striking. I feel like it was a TKO, right? So I felt in comparison to the main event, it was a little bit of foreshadowing because Cejudo literally did the perfect thing to counter that, which is you think you're going to command the pace? No, that's going to be me. I'm not going to let you have your best weapon, you know, and I have the power to back it up. You think about it, man. He's 5'4".
Cejudo,
Cruz had a 4-inch reach on him. 5.
Yeah.
Whatever. It just speaks to that. And that's why I picked Cejudo, just because as much as I don't want to see him win, it's just like, man, this guy is a rolling. He had surgery and everything. He came back and just was.
Yeah. Look, he's just so good about. This goes to show, you know, because he's been doing this for so long. When I say doing this, I mean he's worked under a coach, and no matter what the scenario is in his fights, he listens to his coach's like advice for the next round. And you know, his last fight he defended against Marlon Moraes, and Cejudo was the one getting his legs chopped up. He was losing. He lost that first round, and somehow figured it out and won. It's and the hater in me, of course, I thought it's arguable that it's an early stoppage, but I mean, the hater in me was just like, that's, you know, it's BS. It shouldn't have been stopped. But
because he was on his way up. But by that same vein, that's what, man, I was about to ask you that, honestly. I thought it wasn't that bad of a stoppage because by that same token, refs get in so much, they get so much flack for not stopping a fight soon enough. I'd 10 times out of 10, I'd rather it be before and not after, even though it sucks. Even though it sucks for viewership, it sucks for probably the fighter that is trying to come back from that.
Yeah. They're never gonna refs never win. Refs always takes the L for these important decisions. The factors that the fighters come up with, which they make no sense. There's fighters that will say, well, this is a title, let it go on for a little longer. That's not very safe, but there's some truth to it. Like, it's a title fight. Like, let this person absorb a few more. There could be a good chance this fighter will make it out, you know, and survive this barrage. And there's also the fighters that say, let me go out on my shield. That's a little scary. That's literally them saying, just let me get knocked out cold. Don't stop the fight, you know?
Yeah.
And refs can't listen to that. Yeah.
But there's that happy medium between, you know, the top level, which I think is, I mean, unquestionably Herb, because Herb's calls are just, if he calls it, that's the right call, you know, for 9 times out of 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. If Herb Dean is refereeing a fight, then that's the highest likeliness that it's going to go well.
Yeah, because if you don't call it early, I think that's the degree of how much you can be wrong is so it's so small, you know, the room for error between Herb Dean and say like Steve Mazzagatti. It's just like
you did not just bring up Steve Mazzagatti.
Or like I supposedly Mario Yamasaki too. It's just like
Mario Yamasaki. Oh no, this guy, he goes like this before every fight. And the referee in charge, Mario Yamasaki. Oh, dude,
Herb is the best right now.
You just brought up the two worst ones. Oh man, don't let Dana White listen to this. Dana White will go on a 15-minute rant about Mario Yamasaki.
You don't understand, dude. I've lost sleep over rewatching videos of Dana, just a young Dana. I don't know about old Dana. Old Dana seems to have mellowed off a little bit, or not mellowed off, but he seems to. It comes out every now and again, but if you you know, and I know. You go look at him just ranting off on freaking Mazzagatti. Just
so good,
yeah.
so good. There was. It wasn't even. It was a World Series of fighting. John Fitch fought Josh
It wasn't even
Berkman.
a UFC event, but God,
it wasn't even a UFC event.
Just...
And Dana was doing a media scrum.
Yes.
Obviously about the UFC. Mm-hmm. And then Dana finds the time to bring up Steve Mazzagatti. He asks the reporters, he goes, is Steve Mazzagatti not the biggest toolbox in MMA?
That's unfortunate.
That's just another funny story here.
I have a question for you though. When people say they score something 10 to something or 9 to something,
yes.
9 to X, 10 to X, is that? Are they going off just what they feel, or is that just like UFC talk, like UFC discourse community talk? Is that how people score things?
That's how the referees, the referees on the scorecard of the fight score it. They call it a 10-point must system. They adopted it from boxing. So the winner, no matter what, is going to get 10 points. The person that loses the round gets 9. But if they get dominated, it could be a 10-8. You know,
right, dude. For the longest time, it's pretty embarrassing. But for the longest time, I thought they actually sit there and they're so fast that they're able to tell, oh, that was a hit. You know?
Yeah, they don't know. They don't have the CompuStrike stats or anything,
and I just started looking at the data. It's just like, oh, yeah, every fight is 10 to something.
It's always going to be 10 something. You're not going to get like a 9-9. Well, you could get a 9-9 if the person that won the round lost a point.
For being honest, most fights are like 15 to like 24 or something like that. It's just like there has to be.
What do you mean 15 to 24?
Like I'm talking how they scored and the fights that actually land. And the punches and then rounds that actually stick. The raw number has to be either way higher or lower depending on the fighter. And it's just like it took me a long time to realize that's like not actually what they're seeing. It's just like a system put in place to be able to score like a fight. Still rather
and it's literally it's very frustrating. Frustrating. It should be scored a different way, but the UFC needed to be sanctioned by these commissions, so that's why they had to take the scoring format from boxing.
It's pretty sad. The moment that I noticed it was a little weird was when Adelaide Bird gave Canelo Alvarez that freaking. Like,
I mean that's a whole other can of worms, dude. Because
another can of worms.
It's all polluted, and polluted is not the word. I can't think of the word right now. It's a very common word they use with boxing judges or judges in general.
In boxing, it's another. But maybe as an ending joke. Would you like to see Cejudo will come out of retirement for Nunes? Just as like a charity fight or whatnot. It could happen. I don't know. It should not happen.
Henry Cejudo, geez, what a weirdo. And that was funny though. He wanted to be the first intergender champion also. He wanted to fight Valentina Shevchenko.
What is he doing? God. What is he doing?
I'm glad I don't know. I wish him the best, man. Get out of here. Go get your family and then find that fire to compete again. Yeah. You know, come on, James. If let's just say he's competed for 30, let's say 22 years, straight, no breaks in between at the highest level, you're going to get burned out, dude. You're not going to work.
Yeah. Burnout, I mean, we'll get to that in a little bit with freaking Michael Jordan, but it's a real thing. Anyway. Yeah. And now, the main event that pretty much broke a lot of hearts.
Oh, I wouldn't say it broke a lot of hearts. It ruined a lot of plans.
Yep, as you put it, ruined a lot of plans, and you called it. You wanted this to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly didn't. I didn't want this to happen. I did pick. My money was on Ferguson. Mm-hmm. It's not that I wanted the Ferguson Khabib fight to not happen. I just thought it was just fascinating to have someone to have Justin Gaethje just ruin it.
And the funny guy in you thought it'd be funny if like Gaethje just came in and just like surprise. You're not seeing this shit anymore.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not, even if it does happen, the build-up is not going to be the same. You know, Tony Ferguson isn't on this. His streak is over. His crazy win streak is over. Tony Ferguson has the longest win streak in lightweight history. Mm-hmm. And Khabib is undefeated, undisputed, and they were supposed to clash. And Justin Gaethje, who before this fight was, I believe, 4-2. Just messed it up.
You can hear the disappointment, man. I don't know if Tony. It's not the weight cuts must have gotten to him, and he's as tough as they come. But 2 weight cuts in the span of a month, give or take a few days. You know,
it was within a few weeks. Cutting, it was definitely twice with cutting down to 155. Yeah,
but that I don't think even that is what stumped Tony. Well, before we get to that, like how many rounds would you give to Tony? I'd really only give the second round to him because
second round
because of that knockdown. And dude, if that round had been like, if he'd have done that 10 seconds earlier, I think we may be talking about a very different result.
Yeah,
because that was a good knockdown on his part.
It was a good knockdown,
but man, Gaethje,
it was. I don't know. I don't know how many Ferguson fights you've seen, but it always follows the same formula. Ferguson gets hurt or rocked at least once every fight that he's in.
Yeah.
But it got to a point where it didn't matter anymore because he's still coming forward at the same pace, same aggression, same tricky technique. That's throwing things everywhere at you. And Ferguson was still doing that in this fight. Yeah, Gaethje was landing better shots. He was countering him really well, but Ferguson was the one moving forward the whole fight, damn near, you know?
That's what's confusing about this fight. Is that Tony did what we thought he was going to do and pretty much excelled at it. The only difference is Gaethje fought the perfect fight. Yeah. He was perfect. And Chael came out. Uncle Chael came out. Uncle Chael Sonnen, bad guy. He came out and said Gaethje, it's like shots or whatnot. He compared it to landing some kind of, I don't know. He just he didn't miss any of his he didn't really miss any of his like actual blows. Well,
there's a few that he missed. He missed a few and missed. I kept mentioning this during the fight. He actually missed quite a bit, like the big swings. I was mentioning this the whole time during the fight with my friend. I was like, if you miss a swing like that, it's gonna get you more tired than if you land that swing. You know?
Yeah, and you combine that with Tony's cardio, the fact that he's coming at you.
Yeah. In between every round, Gaethje was the one breathing heavier. I'm not saying that Gaethje was exhausted. But Gaethje was breathing heavier in between every round than Ferguson. Ferguson was just kind of. Did you see into the first round? After the first round was over, they go to their corners. They bring out the stool for Tony Ferguson to sit on. Tony Ferguson grabs the stool and just throws it away.
Oh yeah,
this guy is a savage.
Maybe he should have sat down. I don't know, but
I don't know. It's scary, man. That's El Kukui, man, the boogeyman.
The boogeyman. He doesn't even. Joe kept saying it the whole night. Mr. Rogan, he's like, this guy doesn't breathe. You see his stomach; it's not moving.
It's not moving. You know, this guy is a zombie.
Gaethje, hats off to Gaethje though. It's not like Gaethje took his foot off the gas pedal. He kept up with that cardio, dude. He kept up with that cardio and then some. I mean, he TKO'd him, you know? But,
well, Gaethje he's always had cardio. He's an athlete, but his fighting style, it doesn't matter how good cardio you have. If you fight like Justin Gaethje, how he typically fights, you're not going to last. You know, you're going to knock out someone or get knocked out.
Man. It's just,
that was the first time I've never seen him calculated in a fight before. And all the MMA media is asking him, and I don't know, he's kind of just like tooling everyone because he's just like, no, you know, I didn't change my pace or my game plan or anything.
No, but that's kind of, I mean, for professional athletes, that's kind of the modicum, is it? Once you do it, you act like you've done it before. Just like class with
yeah, maybe, but I was there was never never at any point was I was sure that Justin Gaethje was going to win, even though he was up rounds. I thought Ferguson was going to do something.
Yeah, I thought Ferguson was gonna pull out like I really thought Ferguson was gonna try to go to the ground, or mix it up. You know, because he tried. He tried.
He did it a few times. He would dive for a leg, and then Ferguson's crazy. Yeah. Nobody does that.
Well, he dived for the leg, but Gaethje like had insanely good recovery time.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He just stopped the takedown. Kind of like Cejudo. Well, when Dominic tried, Cejudo just like squashed. Yeah. That's so quick. I mean,
because both Cejudo and Gaethje, I mean, they're both like elite wrestlers.
Right.
Actually, all of them are really elite wrestlers.
Tony.
These are all elite wrestlers. So I'm saying that cancels out. You're not going to take those guys down unless it's like a surprise or a random, out of nowhere, or slip.
I'd have to
You're not taking them down.
Somewhat that Tony's camp, he's been training for this fight for 5 years. It's just, I don't think this was the fight he was training for. Not that makes any difference, because this is Tony. He's back down from a challenge. He takes it head on. And for a while you thought, okay, there was this tension in the air thinking he's not doing so well right now, but this is Tony. Tony's going to find a way. Tony's Tony. Tony be that kind of guy to fill in the blank. And
yes,
Tony just dwindled.
He's gonna I mean he'll be back.
He'll be back for sure.
He didn't I had something as you were talking, but I forgot. I lost it. Man. But yeah, man, it's Gaethje Khabib. We're moving. What did you think about the stoppage?
It was good.
Okay.
It was good. And the only reason we bought it up already, but Herb Dean, if Herb says you're done, dude, you're done.
Yeah.
And he had a fractured orbital. I think that's the diagnosis that came out today.
Yeah, this wasn't known until I think today. Like this, it's not like in the fight and so kept it going. Yeah.
Part of gauging, I think a good way to gauge stoppage is the medical report. Let's be honest. But, the Zhang Wei Li fight, the Zhang and
I'm saying at the time when the fight was stopped, you were okay with it.
Right? It was a mix-up. No, but at the same time, I saw the damage. Like Tony wasn't responding. Tony just wasn't responding. It's just like I think Herb knows that this is a guy that, if not for if by the hands of a worse ref, he could maybe die in the ring by that many blows. I don't know. He was just. Do you think it was a bad bite? It sounds like you say it was a bad stoppage.
No, they had to stop it. He was down. He was down 3 rounds to 1. He was about to be down 4 rounds to 1.
Yeah.
You can't let somebody take shots like.
Yeah, it's just Joe Rogan kept bringing it up, like these rounds, these blows that you see him taking, 9 times out of 10 takes out everybody else that Gaethje's fought.
Everyone.
And this guy's just
Tony's taking. He's a little different, man. This guy Tony, he's a little different.
So Gaethje now moves to take Khabib.
Yeah.
It's a total stylistic difference. I think this is what, at least with his style, this is what people were anticipating with Conor.
Yeah.
Elite striker. But the difference is this guy can wrestle, supposedly.
Gaethje?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really seen it on display in his more prominent fights, but he's going to have to bring it, dude. He's going to have to.
He's going to use his takedown defense against Khabib. I don't think he's going to look to take Khabib down.
He's going to have to look to wear him out too, because Khabib's been known. He might. I don't know. I don't want to compare fights, but the Iaquinta fight comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. What you say?
Iaquinta he's a really good wrestler too, or a good ground fighter. Gaethje, if Gaethje can wear him out, it could be just stopping Khabib's attempts for takedowns, because that takes a lot out of you. the takedown attempts. And if you're unsuccessful, that'll tire you. And that's how that's Gaethje can slow him down that way, or Gaethje can just light him up on the feet.
And Khabib's a little more. Khabib's
he does not
reckless.
have the best stand up. Khabib.
No.
Yeah.
He's a little reckless with his stand up. And
he's reckless, and it's all just to kind of distract you until he grabs one of your legs,
Yeah. It could. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good fight. It's not the fight that people wanted to see. I still had Tony winning I had Tony winning the original fight, but man, now it's just it brings. The stakes have been raised supposedly.
Yeah.
Oh. So what's next for Tony though?
Tony Ferguson. He's probably I don't know. Maybe Ferguson Poirier. Maybe Ferguson. I mean, rankings wise in the lightweight division, it's got to be like Poirier or Conor, but he's taking a title fight.
I don't think so.
Conor's fighting winner of Khabib, Gaethje.
No way.
He's fighting. Yeah.
If they did that, I'm gonna have a fit.
Or he's gonna fight Masvidal.
I'm gonna have a fit if Tony doesn't get a rematch clause of some kind, or if he doesn't get a title shot within the next year, depending on who loses.
Within the next year, yeah, he could do it within the next year. Tony's fight he's got to fight number 4 or number 5. Whoever that is.
If Conor gets it over him, I'd like to see them two go at it.
That would be nice. That would be nice, but I mean, Conor, he wants the belt, and no one. I mean, they're not denying, 1 million plus buy pay-per-views.
The Conor situation's a little weird, depending on if he can decide what weight class he actually wants to go with, or if he wants to try to hold two at the same time again.
I think his next fight is going to be, unless it's a huge fight like Masvidal. I think Conor's going to fight 155. He's going to for that belt.
We'll see if it can happen. All right, so that concludes UFC 249. Any more thoughts before we go to Michael Jordan?
Yeah, I was gonna kind of get into before we get into basketball, comparing because we heard because in combat sports, for whatever reason, if you want a belt, they kind of have this saying. There's like, well, I mean, you're a champion, but you're not a real champion. Defend your belt. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard that before.
Yeah.
That's kind of their saying, in this situation. There's certain fighters. Let's say Rashad Evans, champion. He won it. He beat Forrest Griffin. Lost immediately to Lyoto Machida. No title. There's many UFC fighters that have gotten belts and not defended it, and it's you'll always you're immortalized but you're not. It's a different category when you defend the belt multiple times. And someone like GSP, I think he defended his belt 9 times. Henry Cejudo, he's defended both belts once. And with every defense, every time you defend your belt, the pressure, anxiety, and all this about fighting is exponentiated, and it takes a toll on you. And that's kind of why people walk away. And people never put that with sports, because with sports, it's not fighting is per fight, but sports, it's by season. It's like once a year. If the Patriots win a Super Bowl, people aren't saying, well, yeah, they won, but I mean, are they gonna? It doesn't really matter if they don't win it the year after. That's not really a thing, because when you win, that's your year. You're the champion for that year.
Yeah.
This is a weird, it's kind of stretching, but the Chicago Bears, 1980, they're considered one of the the greatest Super Bowl or greatest teams of all time, and they just won back in '85. And I wonder if this still. I'm not saying that it's not that you got to defend your championship to be validated in traditional sports like baseball, basketball, football, but I wonder if it's that same toll when you are back to back champions like the Chicago Bulls in the '90s, who twice three-peated. I wonder if that pressure is exponentiated more and more and more so. And are those championships even more impressive because they were able to do it 3 years in a row?
I think it is. It definitely, I mean,
this is what I'm, this was kind of like my thought of somewhat of a segue into what we're going to get into about the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. And I guess my lasting thing on the upcoming Gaethje could be impending, depending on when it takes place.
Oh yeah.
You notice that they're both religious?
Gaethje's Christian, yeah.
And Khabib's
Christian,
Muslim.
yeah. And
you might see some people / sports companies, coverage, journalism, they might try to spin this into be like Christianity.
Oh God, I don't know, man.
That could be a storyline that the UFC uses. I hope they don't. I hope they don't. But
no, they won't, because being disrespectful towards a religion is a different level. Like Conor messed up in that part with Khabib.
Yeah, he messed up.
But I don't think they're not going to go that route. These two, Gaethje and Khabib, are just, they're respectful competitors too. So
dude, do you know?
Yeah, there's not.
Do you know I'm thinking about it now. This is a segue into basketball. You know what? We were talking about last time how, like, Gaethje could ruin things. It's kind of like LeBron James ruining the Warriors' freaking greatest team of all time thing.
Yes.
You know what it reminds me? It reminds me of Dwight Howard, 2009. How we were very close. We were very. I know where you're going.
Yeah, I know where you're going. This is the great example.
So close to seeing LeBron James and Kobe Bryant in a finals. But just because of one series, one
series, yeah. Completely. And that was wait, what year was that? 2009. That
was 2009. Yeah, that was the year that was the last year LeBron was killer.
LeBron was nasty that year. He was good. And even it started off with, Nike commercials. Remember, with the puppets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking yeah. Oh, I love those puppets. Oh, I wish
that was so funny, yeah. LeBron, can I shoot your shoe?
Where you keep your shot? LeBron, have you seen my 4 or something championship rings? You see these cookies?
Yeah.
Whatnot. Yeah, it was a good Nike thing, man. Back when Nike was a little more street. So basketball.
Yeah. But that's comparable, yeah.
All right. Well, before we go into that, we are I just want to say, for people that are still listening, thank you for listening so far. I am in the process of setting up a voice message kind of thing on Anchor. So if you have recommendations for the show, anybody you'd like to have on, or topics that you'd like to hear us talk about, be sure to email JamesKittiful 30@gmail.com or crunchymedicine@gmail.com, or be sure to comment down below in the YouTube comment section. Again, we can be found at youtube.com/crunchymedicine. Just be sure to like, subscribe if you are able, and yeah, we'll go from there. All right. So the last dance. This was, I'm glad that the UFC happened. It's because now the Last Dance actually feels like a documentary, rather than like some weird time machine hybrid that, this is all that we have for sports.
Yeah. It still feels a little bit, though. We still get a little bit of it.
A little tinge.
You have recap shows, and then the next morning you got all the main ESPN shows talking about it like it just happened.
Yeah, Scott Van Pelt just like, well, instant replay of 1998 or not. And it's kind of trippy because, this is the footage that that they've been hyping up. It looks good. A lot of it looks super HD. A lot of it looks like it could have just happened.
Oh, yeah.
Barring a couple of cell phones, it could have happened. This is how it looked like to you. This is how it looked like to everyone else born before 1995.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? First episode kind of talked about him going away from the game, the whole baseball thing.
Yeah. And this was, the conspiracies were out of why else he, people can't just take people's word for it. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He just won 3 championships in a row,
He was burned out.
And he was burned out. Being burned out, the combination of that, your father being burned.
Yep.
Your father, you're having already spoken to your father about it, hearing him say, dude, I think you should play baseball. I want you to play baseball. Already telling your friends or whatnot, like, I think I'm gonna play baseball after this. Like, is that not enough? Is that not enough to convince people?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
It's only natural though, because of an athlete. I think of that freaking. Okay, I'm going off a tangent here, but I'm thinking of that scene, freaking Blade Runner, where the Blade Runners are trying to, where the robots are like, why can't I get more life? And the guy's like, well, the candle that burns brightest burns fastest. And you could kind of get the sense that Jordan, he was, going off of last week's episodes, burnout is such a real thing. You were mentioning it earlier. And with him, it wasn't just burnout, it was just like fatigue from every. You have to imagine that this is one of the first instances of like toxic media paparazzi. Because prior to this, sports was just sports. Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they were all encompassing culture movers for sure, but they didn't have the gravity surrounding them like Jordan did. Just that one individual, the one individual. If the dream team was the Beatles, then Jordan was both John Lennon and Paul McCartney mixed into one.
Yeah.
Just the magnetism that this guy had around him really started to wear, and up until that point, no other athlete had ever had that much pull power.
Yeah. It's just so weird. Like watching this documentary, you're starting to realize like he was the most famous person in the world, yeah.
Hands down, I think it's undisputed
he was there
at this point. Athlete, if you had to pick one athlete that represents athletes, that can be considered the greatest athlete of all time, I think you have to pick him.
Michael Jordan, like he couldn't do anything. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere. What was it? So yeah, it was him talking about baseball. But here, I'm just gonna retouch on his, his motivations for every championship. His first one was literally was because he wanted to win a championship. Mm-hmm. The second one was, well, you guys can't do it back to back. And did you know that the motivation for the third one?
I forget. It was against Charles Barkley, but
yeah, but his motivation was, it's just because Bird and Magic has never won 3 in a row before. You're almost nitpicking every year at that.
Right.
What am I like? Why am I doing this now? Why should I care now? And
the sweetest one is always the first one. Or for him, I think for him, the sweetest one, it's arguable. One of two ones. That's weird. That's when you're at such a level that no one can relate. That literally you have to create games for yourself in order to propel yourself to that level.
And they did touch on that too, about how you gotta like make up stories in your head of somebody disrespecting or saying something or to get yourself up for a game.
How often do you think he actually did that on a daily basis?
I think I don't know. I think maybe more so later, but sometimes you're in such cruise control that maybe something really did happen. Maybe someone really did say.
It's just like,
or whatnot.
I don't know. With him and basketball players, it's kind of like you kind of have to scale it back. We've learned now. I think we've learned now. You kind of have to scale it back as far as, oh yeah, he did that every day. No, people can have off days. Jordan lost. There were days where he lost, but the difference was Jordan never let that loss bother him. It's just, consistently he would say, you know what, we didn't even play our best today, and we still did rather okay. He always had that mindset.
Have you seen the 30 for 30? It's called Jordan Rides the Bus.
No.
Oh man, that one got really in depth on Michael Jordan and his baseball career.
Jordan Rides the Bus.
It's called Jordan Rides the Bus. You need to watch that. Also, what was kind of, I assume that everyone has seen it already, or I just didn't like. They kind of look. I'll watch Jordan. Maybe I'm just anxious because this is coming to an end. But there's certain times where there are, like, we've seen it already and we know the story already. Maybe I don't know why they want to retouch, but I feel like the baseball part was a little.
Yeah, it was a little.
Took up too much.
Yeah, it was a little too much where I didn't. I've done a lot of history on Jordan, but I didn't know it took them 3 weeks to find the body of James.
Oh.
I did not know that at all. I thought it was from other documentaries. They made it seem like it was a maximum a maximum of 2 or 3 days. 3 weeks is a long ass time.
Yeah. They found it in.
He found him in the river or something. That is incredibly sad.
I thought it was buried in. Oh, okay, never mind. No, it was a shirt. Never mind. But yeah,
that to me that sheds a whole new light on just the impact that death must have had, because you have to imagine you assume the worst, but that fear isn't confirmed for at least 3 weeks. That's a whole 3 weeks. Coronavirus,
that's wild.
COVID-19's been around for what, 6 weeks? But it feels like forever.
Here, yeah.
Man,
yeah, you're right.
It's kind of like, well, not to get political, or like the current day case of the Valo kids. Just where are those kids?
With the what kids?
It's just case about these kind of cultists whose kids have gone missing, and they were asked to report them. The parents were found in Hawaii, even though they lived in Idaho, and like the kids, the press kept asking, "Hey, where are your kids?" And then the court, it's a long story, but they still haven't been found. But no, just the reality of his dad's death, I think for me, set in once they actually explicitly said, it took them more than 2 weeks to find the body. He was missing for that allotted period of time, which is crazy. And he crazy. I like his spin on it though. Like he obviously is still emotional about it, but I like his spin on it, and said, he chooses to be thankful that he spent 33 years, which a lot of people don't have. A lot of modern athletes grew up without a dad. He was one of them that did.
He that was something that his dad told him too. Has taught him is to take a positive out of something. Learn to take a positive out of a negative situation.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Jordan has always said this back in the days. He would always say that, hey man, I had him for many years. Not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah.
So got to be thankful.
With the baseball stint, before we move on to the next episode, I don't think it was a bad thing. Like, he needed rest. And at that point in time, people really thought he'd retired.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he was gone. And I thought that was good for him to get away.
Yeah. And it's different. The media, it's still bad as far as media or whatnot, but it's not, it's got to be a fraction of what he had to deal with. He's just one of the guys, and he's surrounded by people that are hungry as him. These guys are trying to make it, Yeah. And he just had a different perspective from, these aren't so as much professional athletes as the people that he deal with, that probably get paid more money, that have more luxuries or whatnot. But he was just around people passionate about this game and make it, in the league. And it wasn't like they let they didn't put him on the main roster in the major leagues, that could have been given to somebody else.
Which, by the way, I think puts Deion Sanders and who's that?
And Bo Jackson.
And Bo Jackson. Just like, okay, Jordan is amazing, but freaking those two other athletes, Super Bowl and like World Series level players at the same time.
Deion Sanders has been to both the Super Bowl and the World Series.
That's wild.
He went to the World Series with the Giants.
When there like a media scrum in the 90s saying the media said, he's being kind of selfish going to a World Series and then playing for freaking football or something. I don't know. But
you got it. If you got it, you got it, man.
He's prime time, man.
That's prime time, dude. But Bo Jackson is still the only athlete. He went to the NFL Pro Bowl and the MLB All-Star game. That's crazy.
That is
in the same year, or like within the same year. Oh my god!
I think that also kind of speaks to how ergonomically different basketball is from any other sport. I mean, you could say that about any sport. Right? Oh, this sport's different than this sport, but like, I don't know, the cross between football and baseball, you fulfill a role. You are a role player. You could be a star player, but you still fulfill one singular role.
Yeah,
I don't know. And but obviously, football is like pretty competitive, pretty physical, very physical.
Yeah.
It causes more concussions than the UFC or boxing or anything like that. Yeah. Right.
But I mean, back to the baseball, it does say a lot that his minor league coach at the time ended up being the head coach for the Red Sox and the Indians, but everyone said, hey, if like within the next year or whatnot, like Michael Jordan played in the majors eventually. That's a good sign.
That's a scary thought. People. That's a scary. So do you think it was a good thing that the MLB had their strike?
Yeah, I think it's good, and it's a little ironic too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know what Michael Jordan was feeling. Maybe downtime. Maybe he throws a crumpled up piece of paper into a garbage can. He's watching the playoffs and he's watching his former team lose, and he's thinking like, man, I could have helped them, But
that was one of the funnier things. You saw, he'd been retired for a little bit, and you see him in the stands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he could still be a fan.
I know, but it's just like in the stands at Chicago. It's just like it's a little on the nose, but
Yeah. Phil Jackson even said like before Michael Jordan came back, or like when Michael Jordan decided to come back, I think Michael Jordan, he kind of realized that he has this gift and it's not necessarily way, but it's a shame that he's not just, he needs to display it and he needs to, use.
Yeah. He's been given this gift. He had no obligation at the point of retirement. But I think the documentary, I think the series also shed light on just how good the Bulls were. The Bulls were excellent.
Oh, the first year with him gone, the Scottie Pippen Bulls. Oh man,
excellent. They didn't have their star player, but Scottie.
Yeah, he was kind of. No, they had a star player. It was
Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Pippen literally he led. This is like the LeBron before LeBron, statistically, I mean, because Scottie Pippen led the Bulls in every statistical category,
Yeah, the only difference is
rebounds, assists, steals.
The Bulls were better than the Cavs in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, that is true. And I think they still ended. Did they end the season? I think they ended the season with was it 60 wins, 58 wins?
Borderline 50 plus, 58 plus, 55 plus.
Or 55, something like that. It was,
It's incredible.
That's a top seed,
That's great. For most of the teams, that's a successful season,
Oh yeah, you're a top 4 seed if you're
Yeah.
It's bothering me. I think it was 55 wins, but I think it was 55. They still had it was pretty much it was just Jordan gone. They had the addition of I think Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
They had Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc.
Famous Tony Kukoc.
Oh yeah.
Bill Winnington, was he in the first go around or was he in the second go around? Second.
I think it might have been the second, but yeah.
Cartwright.
They were still they still had but
it broke it broke my didn't break my heart. But it was kind of sad seeing them talk about how Scottie had that one kind of mind fart moment.
Yeah.
Just we're gonna give the ball to Kukoc.
It could.
I'm not going back in the game. And then you hear about Bill Cartwright just crying in the locker room, just
legit crying.
How could you quit on us? We come so. How could you quit on us, Scottie? And it's just that doesn't happen now. Now people just tweet about it and be passive aggressive about it. It's just you had genuine emotion. I'm not saying it doesn't happen anymore, but it's harder.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that though? Do you think Scottie still harbors some resentment around that to this day?
Does he harbor resentment? I don't think so. But I think I don't know. I'm not against him at all for this. I don't know. Were reporters really on him? I remember Stephen A. I don't think Stephen A. was giving him crap, but Stephen A. was saying how overall this documentary hasn't made Scottie Pippen very good. But I understand it. I mean, come on, dude. If you're that good, someone like Scottie Pippen, you're allowed to have an ego, and you're allowed to be mad at that. And what he did was it was a crappy situation. That was a very selfish move on his part. But he apologized for it, and he means it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he said if he'll do it again, he probably would do it. And he's,
Yeah.
I never understand why people ask that question. If you in time, would you still do it? Of course, you're going to still do it because you did it.
Wait, did he say he would still do it?
He said he would still do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Along the lines of Bill Laimbeer. Hey, if you go back in time, would you shake their hands?
Hell no. He's got an ego, man. He's been playing second fiddle not second fiddle, but he was the second guy for how many years? This is his team. He led them to, he been doing so well, and he didn't think about it from a perspective at the time, because it is true. Tony Kukoc is a better shooter.
Yeah. I'm just saying it's hard. I've never been at that level. I can't say, but it's like, I don't know, in the midst of a playoff series, I can understand freaking regular season. Sure. What's one loss? But dude, your playoff and that might be the most awkward game winner in the playoffs. You can imagine. Yeah. With the circumstances now in mind.
Yeah. I mean, they pulled it off though. Imagine if they didn't. The end of that season would have been. Well, Scottie Pippen.
When you say pulled it off, they actually won. They won that series, right?
They won that game. They won the game. That was against the Knicks. I think they ended up losing 4-2, but they were down. I think they were down 2-0, and then they were down 2-0 up until that play where Kukoc won it for them, and then yeah.
Well, we're at the return of Michael Jordan.
Oh. And look, it's not. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I can always.
No. The return of Michael Jordan is just like, again, talking about that magnetism that he has. He goes to baseball. He still gets. He goes to baseball, and minor league games sell out. Minor league games in a different sport.
It wasn't even minor leagues. It was
a farm league.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're selling out. They're selling out season tickets.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Mm-hmm. They're selling out season tickets, and like his assistant manager is just completely overwhelmed with how much pull that this guy has. The great.
Yeah. This would I definitely advise you to watch the Jordan Rides the Bus one. Like, watch it.
I've got to see it now. Wait a minute. No, I think I have. I've seen a big chunk of it. It's literally just about him going to play baseball, right?
There's like almost segment. No basketball. There's almost no basketball in it.
Yeah. Would you say basketball was the most popular sport in America in the 90s? Would you say that?
In America, it's tough to say, man. Football will always be the most popular sport in America.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball was there. I mean, you could say that football is the most popular sport, but Michael Jordan was the most popular athlete.
Yeah.
But by the 90s, especially mid 90s, the NFL could, because it's American football.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Yeah. Michael Jordan returns and is a little rusty, but that rusty Michael Jordan still went to the conference semis?
Conference semis against
Horace Grant.
Horace Grant and the Orlando Magic.
Against Shaq or whatnot.
That was young Shaq.
Shaq. Still kind of lean. I think I saw several players. Shaq, he just dribbles down the court like.
Oh yeah. Early Shaq did that all the time. Growing up, Shaq wanted to be Dr. J. Growing up, and his dad was like, "No, no."
Dude, talk about great sports dads. I feel like Shaq's dad is one of the best because he's like this military. You know his story, right? He grew up on a military base and everything.
Oh yeah. Shaq, he grew up all over the country. All over the country.
Yeah. But Sriracha, I appreciate the support, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh yeah. No, but Mike. I mean, they came back. They looked. Michael Jordan. Oh man, it's so funny. This is like the biggest thing to happen in sports, and Michael Jordan was. I mean, he was essentially gone for 1 3/4 of a season. Because he came back at the.
Yeah.
They went on their little streak to make it into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What was it? Who did they beat? First round.
They beat. Oh man, this is bad that I don't remember. Was it the Nets? No, the Nets was 1998.
No, Nets.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But the fact that they won a playoff series, because Jordan came back halfway through the season, right? It wasn't like he came back.
It wasn't even. It was less than halfway.
Yeah, and for them to still, and for him to still pull off what he pulled, it's still really nice. It's still really good for what he did, but it just wasn't enough. I guess that his body just wasn't ready at the time.
Yeah, I mean, because your body types it's different. Like
It's
your
so
muscle
different.
your reactions
He
and whatnot
looked-
is different between a
It almost looked
between
like his muscles were disproportionate. Like, cause he had like his arms are certain. Like, when I say disproportionate, just for that one season, you know, Air Jordan 10s. He's wearing the 10s on his foot. He has like,
yeah.
it just looked like his arms were bigger, but they weren't necessarily muscular all the way through. Do you know what I'm talking about? Whereas
Yeah, because
1993, it's just like boom. He was just like,
yeah, because you're just constantly like jacking shots, you know. But I think with baseball, like all your strength is your like hands, forearms, you know.
yes,
Hands,
it's very
forearms,
mechanic.
explosive lower body. Yeah, where basketball, it's
Everything
maybe
else.
it's kind of everything else. Maybe it's a leaner muscle, more endurance. You know, where baseball you don't need as much endurance. You know,
I will say though, those guys are very durable. Freaking in college, I played with a bunch. The baseball, you would think, right? Football players. I mean, the basketball players are really good on the. I'm talking in a pickup game. The football players were almost always trash, and then the baseball players were almost always freaking like the best.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's just well, yeah. I mean, the basketball players didn't play, but like, yeah, football players, they were athletic.
Yeah,
but they
like with basketball, if you have basketball, you'll do okay. You'll do fine if you have really good cardio. Like you'll do fine in pickup games. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So yeah, they get knocked out by the
by
the Orlando Magic with
and Jordan just has Orlando on his mind. That's satisfying as all hell, isn't it? Horace Grant.
Yeah. I mean, it's satisfying for Horace Grant. You know, this is team he's facing them. The series clinching game was in Chicago. They picked up Horace Grant and they carried him off like he's some hero.
Home. Yeah, they carried him off. The crowd booed him. That must have been the most satisfying boo against the greatest player who ever lived. And it's just like,
because not only that is the greatest player, but like that. Then even though he's still the greatest player, I'm sure there was people that were questioning it. Like, maybe is he? You know, is he done? Maybe he's not the greatest player anymore. You know, and then boom, 95, 96.
Penny was on that team. Penny and who's the other guy? Freaking Smith, right? Like, yeah.
Penny, oh God. Penny Hardaway, Shaquille O'Neal, Nick Anderson, Horace Grant.
If they'd have stuck together, that might have been a championship team.
They were a championship team.
They went to the finals. Who'd they lose?
They went to the finals, yeah. They lost to the Rockets.
The Rockets.
Hakeem Olajuwon. Oh man. And he cooked Shaq real good in those finals.
It takes one of those to, I think, get to that next level.
Oh yeah. You gotta. I mean, you know, Michael Jordan told Shaq. He said, you know, if you want to lose, you gotta learn. If you want to win, you gotta learn how to fail.
That's weird coming from Jordan. I mean, Jordan. It brings into the mind the commercial he has. I failed over and over, but you know, our whole persona, our whole like perspective of him is him just like conquering every single time. But for him, his adversity was before he got to the finals. You know, for some of these younger players that are just naturally talented, that had more, I guess, at their disposal. Where I think it's a little unfair to compare players. It's like, where did they face their adversity? Was it in the finals? Was it before? It's not unfair. You know, people face it at different points. LeBron faced it in the finals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And Shaq too. Shaq, he tasted defeat, like real, like hard defeat was in the finals, yeah.
So that year happens, and the main event that they were referring to last week was the the whole punching Steve Kerr in the face thing.
Oh yeah.
I knew it was gonna come up, but for whatever reason, this time when they told the story, it was like, man, Jordan actually feels kind of bad about that. Like he felt bad about it before, but it's just
he's always felt bad about it. Yeah.
This is the first time we've seen Jordan. Well, not the first time, but they decided to put in the aspect where he says, cut. I need a break.
Yeah.
I've never seen him that emotional talking about.
Yes, because that's not talking about. I mean, talking about the actual game and his passion and his wanting his teammates to be as to put in the work like he does. Yeah, and then he broke down. That was yeah.
Just kind of almost kind of like he's questioning himself. Like, hey, did I like? Okay, yeah, we did. We got what we wanted, but was that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you gotta be, man. I love. Oh man, I just love Steve Kerr when he was telling the story because he was like, yeah, Michael Jordan. I'm a competitive guy too. I just don't Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Chad says I miss Kobe. Yeah, Kobe was like that too. But see, the difference is Kobe, we got to see another, in however short of time that we got to see it, we got to see a different side of Kobe. Whereas with MJ, we barely seen anything in the past 7 years. In the past 20 years, nothing. This is the first instance of that. Man, but yeah, him just sort of breaking down, but I tell you, I think the most compelling thing I saw was it's been seen before, but I never heard it with the audio quite that audible, just without any kind of music. Is Jordan after he won that championship on? We're jumping ahead on this. We're jumping ahead, obviously, but him in the locker room after he won with bread 11s and all on the ground, just like on the ground, sobbing, dude, sobbing.
It was he was just like hyperventilating and you heard it and that before it was always just that footage, maybe some music in the background or commentators in the background, but
it's always been dramatized. It's always been needlessly dramatized to the point of it's a tender moment. It's a really delicate moment. In some respects, you almost think, man, should that have been filmed, or do you think they should have given him some space? I mean, obviously, he said yes now, but that is the most space you can give Michael Jordan. Like that's the most space he could possibly ask for at the peak of his superpowers. Like just being in a room with like 10 people, like that's the most you can ask for as far as space. Man, just the emotion that I saw that, I was like, man, that is real.
Yeah,
when no faking it right there.
There was something that they've always cut off. I've never, because when he finally does come back is during the celebration. Ahmad Rashad is interviewing him, and then if you watch any documentary ever of Michael Jordan and this particular part of footage, he says, "My father wasn't here this time. This one's for Dad." But in The Last Dance, they gave the whole part of it. So he says, "My father wasn't here last time." He named all these people. He named his brothers, his sisters. He named his family members, and then he goes, "Dad." Like I don't see why they have cut that off all this time, and they
which is great. I think they realize that more people make up Michael Jordan than just the people that we think. Ahmad Rashad. Well, okay, Ahmad Rashad freaking tying his tie at the funeral. That's a nice little detail I didn't know about before. And
I think him and Ahmad Rashad were close as far as from a
very close by the sounds of it, at a funeral, at that kind of thing. And but oh man, a new meme. Talk about a new meme being born, though. You see the reaction? It was the perfect cutaway. Gary Payton, he's a great player. I'm surprised they didn't interview Sean Kemp. Maybe he didn't want to be interviewed. But
or maybe just not relevant enough in the story.
Yeah. Okay. No. But because he wasn't the talker. He wasn't. Would you say Gary was their best player?
If you want someone in the Sonics of that year, it's either going to be Gary Payton or George Karl. Right.
Karl.
But Gary Payton was he was a hell of a point guard. He was defensive player of the year that year,
and he was really good with the ball. He's like Patrick. He's kind of like Patrick Beverly. If Patrick Beverly was better,
if Patrick Beverly had more skills. But Peyton. Oh God, that was so. Jordan just like cracked up laughing. He showed the footage of Peyton.
Oh my! It was the perfect cutaway because he just, you hear the professional audio of explaining, then all of a sudden you hear an iPad audio, and it's just like Jordan looking at it, laughing,
just cracking up.
Yeah,
I love it, dude. It's so good. And Gary Payton has every right to feel that way too, and maybe, a little bit. Gary Payton still had to put in the work, still had to play Michael Jordan. It's just that he wasn't the main reason why Michael Jordan wasn't performing up to par.
Yeah.
Or at least to Michael Jordan, it probably was all Gary Payton. Gary Payton's a freaking crazy defender, crazy defensive player.
I don't know, man.
But what?
No, I was just about to say, how they highlighted the fact that 72 wins. They popped off. They had like
Oh, dude.
An unbelievable season, and then their hat said it don't mean a thing without the ring. And then you start to see,
I love that.
And then you start to see them like list the records.
Yes.
Who did they leave off, man? Who did they leave off?
I think they left it. I think the record. I think those are records from at the time. They're not going to. But
they should have still put it on there. It's part of history at this point.
It would be more insulting to the Warriors if they did that. But oh, dude, and another thing too, like the baseball footage, I thought it went on a little longer than it should have. That's just my opinion. I enjoyed it. I don't care. But another thing too, I'll always watch highlights of the 95-96 Bulls. A lot of that is just real stuff too. Almost all of it. And they even played this. I remember I've seen a documentary. I can't even name. I tried to as I was watching, but I was just so into it. But they even use the same song, some song from the 90s.
Yeah.
But it's just the same montage in a new documentary, and I didn't care. I was like, here, it's cool. I'll always watch this.
I gotta say it. Seeing that particular season up close and personal, I think kind of changes my answer 2 weeks ago on who I'd like to see play. I mean, no, not really, because LeBron James versus that Heat team versus that Chicago Bulls team, it's great.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I'm kind of now leaning towards the Warriors with Kevin Durant.
Which one? 2016?
17.
2017.
Yeah, with that.
Oh yes, 2016. Oh, geez.
Just because my impression is based that Warriors team with Kevin Durant, the first year they won it, is basically the 73 win team, but with Kevin Durant sprinkled in there, with David West sprinkled in there, with David West. Maybe wrapping up, David West is, I think, the most underrated Warrior in terms of like his actual good. He was solid, dude.
Okay,
no one ever acknowledges that. 2 straight championships. The dude was a solid off the bench, but that's my spiel.
Yeah.
Okay, but in wrapping up. Next week had better be all 1998.
Oh, dude, I don't think it is, man.
No.
They're gonna touch on the sure episode 9.
Sure, I think okay, and that's a good thing. Okay, when I say 98, it had better be that 97 within the vein of 97 to 98. Just that last year, the first go around with the Jazz, and then the second go around with the Jazz. It had better be that. I'd better not see them. I better not see them going all the way back to his freaking childhood, like. No.
Oh, they're going to because they need to build a story of like where did this come from?
They have. It's been 9 straight. I don't know. This whole time it's been great. But when I saw that trailer in 2018, I was thinking this is gonna be a 2-hour documentary about like with just that footage, just basketball. They've done it. They've touched on him politically. They've touched on his gambling. They've touched on everything. I need the basketball. I need the in-game. I need the in-game shit talking.
Look, I know. Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and that would be nice. That's just not going to happen. Give ESPN credit for one thing. We don't get footage of every year on every episode, but we definitely get footage of 97, 98 in every episode. So we'll give them credit for.
I mean, okay, yeah. I'm just waiting for but I think this is it though. It's
going to be focused. Yeah, the
finals.
They're going to be focused on the flu game. There's going to be a big focus in episode 9.
Great. They have more footage of that. They have auxiliary footage to that.
Maybe, dude. What a bummer, huh? One more Sunday of this.
2 more episodes. Good.
2 more episodes. One more Sunday. One more day of this.
And then hopefully, real sports.
Yeah, I mean,
with the UFC, I mean, okay. To last topic, because we've gone on.
Sure.
We're an hour and 50 minute in.
We don't really have a last topic. We really have so I mean, let's not say last topic.
Just fine, but we probably lost a certain someone by now.
Dude, there's 2 things that I wanted to touch on, but I mean, I can make.
No. Touch on them right now. Touch on them.
Okay. I was gonna remember how there's a guy that played for the Washington Bullets. Their draft pick that year. I don't know if it was a 95-96 season, but the Bulls lost the game, and then the guy comes MJ. I think he had 27 points, and he was like, "Good game, Mike." And then it pissed Michael Jordan off. Remember that guy? I forgot his name.
Because he called him Mike.
But it was like their draft pick. And then Michael Jordan made it a point to score how many points that dude scored in the first half. And I think he ended the game with 44 points and not play the fourth quarter. But that's funny because I think it is like, whether if that's true or not, people do that. You know, you know about Shaquille O'Neal's story about David Robinson?
Oh, yeah. It's just like the whole... Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, just the disrespect between him and Robinson. It's
all brain games that Shaquille did to himself, and he later on admitted it. And then when they interviewed David Robinson, this is the story. David Robinson was like a rookie or whatever, and Shaquille O'Neal's still in college, or he's still, he's like this young kid, and he meets David Robinson, and he asks David Robinson for an autograph, and David Robinson denies him. And ever since then, Shaquille O'Neal has been, had this resentment towards him. So every time he played against him, he wanted to, just like kill him.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't sound like David Robinson, though.
Yeah, because David Robinson never did that.
Yeah,
because years down the road, they interviewed David Robinson, and they're like, "How do you feel about Shaq making up a story about you not signing an autograph for him?" And he was like, "I don't know. That's something Shaq would do. I would never do. I've never done anything like that." Yeah. That's so, and you got to do that, man. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna tell yourself? If there's no motivation, you got to make something up.
Robinson was such a sweetheart. He was such a sweet. I mean, to be honest, that dream team, Robinson would be a pretty good guy to hang around.
Oh, he was the one to hang around. Like he partied, the footage of like Charles Barkley.
He didn't party,
dude. Yeah, but anyways, that's that. I'll touch on that. Competitors, you gotta lie to yourself about something to get yourself up, to motivate yourself. And then I don't know if you saw, they were showing footage of the first round against the Nets. Remember the New Jersey Nets first round in the 98?
So bad.
In the 98 playoffs. Bad. There's a player in there. Reckon you might not recognize him because this is like before your time, but there's a player named Chris Gatling. That played for
the name, kind of,
for the Nets. I only recognize him because I have a bunch of his trading cards. He's like the guy that you got his trading card, threw it away. But he was the 90s, late 90s Chris Dudley. He was the original.
He's the original Chris Dudley.
He's the original Chris Dudley.
Jared Dudley.
Oh, did I say Chris Dudley? Oh shit, sorry.
It's fine.
Jared Dudley.
Jared Dudley. He's on the Lakers.
He did not look athletic. But he could kill you on the basketball court, and he will forever go down. Like, as the years go by, he will always be the best player at the local YMCA. He's that guy. And Jared Dudley.
He's getting paid. That's all that matters.
He's the Jared Dudley is Gatling remix, as I call it. And I guess here's my last thing. I talked to you about this yesterday already, about how this documentary is so good, and why I say it's so good is because we already know what's going to happen. We know the ending. There's no spoilers in this,
What?
And the way that they ended it, not only do we know what's going to happen, we know that they're going to end their episodes with these cliffhangers to make it, so we know that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I still get excited when they showed Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller was talking about, well, this is my opportunity, to finally slay the dragon, finally take great Michael Jordan. This is his last series. And then, they end that like there's this new challenge emerging in the Indiana Pacers. Oh, it's so good.
Reggie Miller, he's one of those guys, very politely competitive. Somewhat.
Oh yeah, he was somewhat. He was
besides
fierce.
Spike Lee,
He was fierce on the floor, but when you interview him, he kind of just plays like, "Oh, no, I wasn't."
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're coming up right on 2 hours here, dude. It's been fun though. I mean,
it's been a blast.
Because if
we got to work on it.
It's been the biggest weekend in sports in about 6 weeks, maybe a whole two months. About that,
Hey, this is the early phases of this. Right now we're a
No, that's good.
What is that called? Uncle Bum made it for us. The barbecue, that big slab of meat. What is it called?
With a brisket.
Yeah, we're like a brisket right now.
Trim down that fat.
You got to trim it a little bit. It's still good. It's still good, but it's a lot. We want to be that filet mignon, that lean.
Now you make me want to talk
small
more
portion.
into doing those pad thai kits and shipping it nationwide. Freaking make me so hungry.
Wait, do what?
Supposedly they have like a pad thai kit or Thai food kit or whatever.
Oh yeah, no, that's pickup only.
Dang it!
I thought that was gonna make you want to cook a steak or something.
We'll see.
We can always, we can branch out and get into and whatnot, other subjects.
Well,
If you really want to bore,
if you really
bore your audience.
I have several people I've asked to try to talk about the food industry. You're one of them. But that's for
yeah, I can always nail that.
Well, I think we're at the end. Do you have anything more to say? Do you have anything more to add?
No, man, it's been a blast. This is always fun. Obviously, whoever does decide to watch, while you're watching, might as well click the subscribe button.
We've had more viewers in this round. With
really?
Yeah, we had 9.
Oh. You better slow down. We gotta start ordering security when we step out of our houses. Jeez. Oh, okay. Man.
Well, all right, guys. So we've reached the end of the podcast. As always, I really, really appreciate anybody coming to check it out. I am in the process of trying to get it streamlined to a point where you guys can maybe interact with us a little more. If that's sending us a voice message on Anchor, which will be determined soon. But you can always catch these episodes later. They'll be posted to Spotify and YouTube within about 3 to 4 hours, depending. But yeah, thanks for coming by, guys. It's been a blast. Keep up to date with sports, and if you have any recommendations for the show, be sure to email crunchymedicine@gmail.com or jameskitapole30@gmail.com. Eric, it's been a blast. Thanks for joining me, man.
Till next time.
Peace out, guys. Dude, my volume sound okay to you? They said my voice was echoing at the beginning.
It didn't sound